slow to rise, and it trickles. Brother, welcome to the club. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be working on a Rockshox Reverb Dropper post. So this is the C1 version of the Reverb, which is the latest non-wireless version of the post. There's A versions and B versions. I'm going to be making separate videos of those two because even though there's some similarities, there's also some significant differences. So it warrants making its own videos, right? The Reverb is a great post, but they could have their issues, just like this post might actually have. They aren't hard to service, guys. And what's really nice about them is that Rockshox gives us the ability to fully service them, which is what you and me are going to be doing today. So this is going to be the 600-hour service video of a C1 post. I'm going to break out a 200-hour service video separately, make it its own. Technically, the parts of the 200-hour service will be replaced in this 600-hour service, but there are some key differences, which is one of the reasons I want to make the 200-hour video separate. Also, I like to keep these videos as short as I can, especially the 200 hours, since that would be more common for the average person out there, all right? If you own this post, don't be intimidated by servicing it. I promise you that after your first time, you will have all the confidence needed to do it whenever it's needed. So with that being said, let's get into the tools and parts needed for the job. As for tools, it looks like it's a lot of tools, but we could consolidate this quite a bit. We'll get into that. So the most important tool here, safety glasses. We're dealing with pressures. We're dealing with oils. You do not want to get oil squirt into your eyes. Make sure you wear your safety glasses. So we are going to need a vise with a soft jaw. This is a Reverb soft jaw. It takes care of everything, right? So it has a flat jaw, 7.5 millimeter for the inner shaft, the poppet shaft, and adjustable between 25 and 35 millimeter depending on how big your seat post is, right? Mine's a 31.6 millimeter, so if you have one of these already, you could use that depending on your post size, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the air cap. Well, technically the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the seat holder. So you're going to need a T25 Torx bit to remove the bolts that holds the seat down to the post, right? And then we're going to remove the cap when we go inside. This is a 9 millimeter socket, but this is a vent cap that has a 9 millimeter socket built in. Then we're going to remove the air, right? So from there, we have two options. We could either remove the collar. To remove the collar, you need a 34 millimeter wrench, or you could use an adjustable wrench. In fact, you could use an adjustable wrench for all of these. So these could go away with just this one guy, okay? So the only thing is you need crow's feet to torque everything down later. You could buy an adjustable torque crow's foot, basically. So they exist out there, right? So you could shrink all these down to literally two tools. So we want to protect the collar before we install it or take it out. And after we install it again, some black tape helps just to stop scoring on it, right? So we loosen the collar, then we go underneath and we loosen the lock bolt, 24 millimeter wrench, crow's foot, whatever. Adjustable wrench, Nipex, whatever you want, right? And then we're going to split the top cap from the locking cap, and that's going to be a 15 millimeter, right? 15 millimeter wrench, again, adjustable wrench, so on and so forth. So then we're going to separate everything. Well, we'll probably clean up later, but we're going to separate anything. Then we want to take out the poppet valve, right? For the poppet valve, we're going to need a 10 millimeter and again, the 15 millimeter, right? So, and then we remove the seal head. For the seal head, we're going to need a 23 millimeter for the seal head. Now we spill out the oil, need a cup or need some kind of pan for the oil to pour it into. And then we're going to set the IFP. We're going to clean everything, basically, put grease on everything, and then it comes back down to assembling everything. So we need an IFP depth tool. This is the 200 or 210 millimeter, 210 millimeter version of the tool. Okay, so the Rockshox, you can buy this online, or you could use, well, you're better off buying this. It's not all that expensive, guys. So one thing I did forget to mention, to take out the IFP, there's two ways you could do it. One, you could do it the way Rockshox does. Personally, if you do it using zip ties, and we'll talk about this later, Zip ties that come with brand new tires work best in my opinion. You need like 2-3 of them as opposed to like 10 of them if you use smaller ones. But we're going to go through a method over here that's going to be a little bit different. One thing to mention is the bottom bushing. If yours is in good condition, you have a new one in the 600-hour kit, you might want to save the old one to help split it apart. A retaining ring plier will come in handy. You'll see that later when we go into it. So picks, plastic picks preferred, or very blunt picks, right? Oh yeah, we're going to want to take out eventually the Schrader valve and the air cap, the Schrader valve on the top of the shock or the dropper. So Schrader valve removal tool. We might want to replace the seal and the seal bolt which comes in the kit, or the seal screw that comes in the kit. That's a T10 to take out and remove the seal screw and the seal bolt. We're going to need, in order to clean the inside of tubes, you definitely want to use wooden dowels, wooden or plastic. Do not use anything metal inside those tubes. You're going to need a torque wrench, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's everything here. So again, an adjustable wrench could really help you eliminate a lot of this stuff, right? Leaving you only this. You don't even need this. You'll see later what I mean. We're going to remove the IFP using an air pump. Paper towel, alcohol, and if there is anything else that I'm missing over here, I can't think of anything else that I need for this shock. For this dropper. If there's anything else, we'll go over it later. Next up, well, let's get into the parts for the job. As for parts, we're going to need a seal kit. Part number 11.6818.051.003. That's the 600-hour kit, but it's for the C1 version of the post. So make sure you get the right kit for the right post, okay? You might be needing pins, and the problem with the pins is that you won't know what size you need until you open up the post. There's like 5 sizes. Size 0, which, oh, I pulled the size 0 by mistake. Yep, size 0. So they're defined by how many lines are on them. So size 0 has 0 lines on it. Then there's a size 3, which is by far the most common in my opinion. That will have 3 lines on the pins. Size 4, 4 lines, 5, 5 lines, 6, 6 lines, right? Those are the 5 sizes. I've only seen one size 0. Everything else has always been size 3. I've never seen a 4, 5, or 6 on a reverb, but it's not like I see thousands or work with thousands of these things, right? So I can't tell you what you will be needing. Chances are you're going to be needing a 3 or well, maybe a 0. Okay, these are cheap, to be honest, only a couple of bucks, so you might want to get one of each if you're not entirely sure which ones you need. But they are made to wear, and when they wear, you'll notice the lines will be wearing out. They need to be replaced because you'll start getting slop. As for oil, we need Maxima Serene hydraulic seat post fluid. That's what Rockshox recommends now for these posts, okay, as well as the Axis Reverb. Grease. They want us to use dynamic seal grease. I'm only going to use dynamic seal grease when I mix it with oil. One thing I've proven is that dynamic seal grease does not work well when it's in dry environments. That's where SRAM butter comes in. So I'm going to be using SRAM butter on the bushings and the collar and the pins. Dynamic seal grease I'm going to be using on the IFP. We'll get into that later, all right? That's pretty much it for the parts, guys. Let's get into opening up this post. So chances are your seat clamp's going to have been removed already. You have to take off the seat, right? You're going to have to remove the seat clamp. But if it's not removed, we need to remove it because the air valve is in here and we need to remove the air. So T25 to remove the clamps, all right? So now that the seat clamp is off, we can see the air cap. Now, this is also a vent valve, just like the Axis. In other words, if you have a bit of sag, like a little bit of drop when you sit on the post, you might be able to take care of it via the vent valve, right? It works the same way with the Axis. So what you're going to do is take the vent valve tool, right? First, you're going to while the post is on the bike, you're going to actuate the post to make sure that it's all the way up, right? And then you're going to take the vent valve tool and you're going to press down on the post until all the sag is gone, right? Until it goes down as far as it can. Wait 2 seconds, and then you pull the vent valve off, right? Or the cap off, or the tool off. Then you're going to hit the remote again, and the post will come back up, and you should be reset. Everything should be good. Now, that's not going to solve all sag issues. There's just going to be some sag issues where you're not going to have a choice but to do what you see in this video. Now, one thing I want to say, this is a 600-hour service video. I'm going to change everything in there. I don't even know what it looks like in there. He did say he did a 200-hour service, very, very recent. But ultimately, I'm going to be doing a 600-hour service just to make sure everything is good. You can take care of a sag problem by performing everything in this video without having to change any parts, guys, okay? So just remember that. If you have sag that you can't take care of with your vent valve, follow this video. Don't change any of the parts. Just follow the video all the way down to the IFP, and you will take care of a sag problem like that, okay? So now that we're here, what we're going to do with the tool now is take off our air cap, 9mm socket, or this Rockshox air cap tool. Okay, and it is gone. Next, we're going to take the air out of the post. Now, you have to take the air out of the post on a 600-hour service. 200-hour doesn't matter. 600-hour, oh boy, man, you do not want to open up that bottom seal head with this thing being pressurized, or man, you're going to get the facial of a lifetime, right? So oil is just going to blow up all over the place, all over your face, really. Okay, so we're going to take, let's say, a 3mm Allen, 3.5mm Allen with a piece of towel, and just slowly take out the air. Just press the, there you go. Is that all of it? Yep, that's all of it. Reason we use towel is just so oil mist doesn't spray in the air and we don't breathe it in, right? But we should be good. Next, we're going to remove the valve. Okay, we're going to use a Schrader valve removal tool. And we're going to completely remove it. And we want to inspect it, because we don't get a replacement valve. And this one looks okay. Oh, this one looks okay to me. So he did say that he was having some kind of issues with air. Anyway, put the valve on the side with the cap. Don't lose it. Now what we want to make sure is that we clean any dirt that's been collected under here. Okay. Probably should have done that before I took off the valve, now that I think about it, but it's okay. We're opening up the whole post. And we're going to clean that later. See what I mean? Some dirt on the bottom. Actually, that was like a little bit of oil more than dirt. So just clean it all up. Next, we're going to loosen the collar. Now, I'm going to put it in a hole. Mine is a 31.6mm post, so I'm going to put in a 31.6mm soft jaw hole that I have over here, right? And again, we're just going to loosen the collar for now. We're not going to fully take it off to protect the collar in case you want to keep it, so you don't score it, right? What we can do is put some black tape on it, just like this. Don't need to put too much. You're literally just protecting the surface here. Okay, you can use your wrench, Knipex. I have a wrench over here, adjustable wrench. We're just going to take him and open him up, and we're just going to loosen him to a point where we can get him by hand. Yep, and just leave him here for now. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to invert him. Okay. Then we're going to grab our 24mm wrench, or your plier, Knipex, whatever you got, right? And we're going to separate the cap, the bottom cap, from the post till we can lift it up. It'd probably be faster to do it like this. Oh. A little bit more. For crying out loud. There we go. Now we're going to lift the post up, okay? Then we're going to take our 15mm and our 24mm, okay? We're going to take our 24mm, put it on the cap. We're going to take our 15mm, put it on the poppet valve or the poppet cover. And was it? Yep. So if you're holding on to the 24mm, this is going to be clockwise to take it off. Okay. So we loosened it. Now that we loosened it, we're going to take off our cap, or at least our lock ring, by hand. Okay, we're going to put that on the side. Now we are going to take out our post. Open up the collar. Okay. And we are going to separate it. All right, that looks real clean in there. First thing we're going to do is we are going to take out our pins. Use a plastic pick if you have one. Get underneath it. Let's just take out the pins. And let's take a look at the pins, see which ones we got. 3. See, they got 3 lines on them. So, you see that well? So they're 3 lines. Yeah, I got a kit sitting there. Now what we're going to do is basically take out whatever grease is there so we don't make a mess all over ourselves. Right? This stuff could get pretty nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Next, what we want to do is loosen the poppet cover, and then we want to loosen the 10mm bolt that holds the whole mechanism to the shaft. Okay, so we're going to put this in a 7.5mm hole soft jaw. Again, 7.5mm holes, right? We're going to grab a 10mm and go on the nut underneath. Then we're going to grab a 15mm, and I believe it is, yep, counterclockwise. So hold on to the nut with the 10mm and go counterclockwise. Don't take it off, just loosen it, okay? Now we're going to go underneath and we're going to loosen the 10mm bolt from the shaft, wherever it is. Where is it? There we go. Counterclockwise, okay? So again, we're just loosening it. Now, do not take this thing off without some kind of rag or towel. There could be pressure under here, and if you try and take it off with your fingers, boom, you're going to get a hell of a facial, okay? I don't know about you guys, but I give facials. I don't get facials. Yeah. So we're going to take a rag, and we're going to remove the whole thing. Just be careful with it. Try and hold it at the bottom just in case it does have pressure in there, and it pops up. And we should be good. Yep. And we're going to lift this whole, pop it up. Might be a little bit stiff. Lift it up. And there's our poppet. Yay. Okay. So now what we can do is separate the cap from the top completely. Great. That's not what I wanted to do. Do it this way and this way, and we should be able to do it by hand. Come on, how am I so stiff? Why so stiff? All right, boom. Let's put that cap on the side. In fact, we'll put the whole mechanism on the side. Actually, yeah. What you can do is separate this guy, but we really don't need to. There we go. So, actually we'll do it just to clean both, all right? There's seals over here that we have to change. We're going to deal with that later. So let's leave this on the side just like that in order, all right? I forgot to mention before, what might come in handy at the bottom over here, just in case, because the valve is out, is just put a little bit of towel just in case some oil wants to come out, right? Sometimes some will leak out based off what's made it past the IFP and what hasn't, right? So just so it doesn't drip everywhere without you knowing it. Now, what you are going to do is you're going to clamp down the seat side, the seat post side of the dropper to a flat soft jaw. I'm going to put in a 25mm hole only to make it easier to get a better view with the camera, else if I put on the flat side, I mean, it's just not going to be a good view, right? So, but I'm not going to clamp it on this part of the post. I'm going to clamp it below the pins. This area is not as important as this area. We do not want to put a scratch anywhere above the pins because, well, the wiper won't be able to seal it. Whereas below the pins, it really doesn't matter all that much because the wiper doesn't touch below the pins, right? So again, I'm just doing this so we could have a better camera angle of it all. All right. I'm not going to put it too tight. Grab my 23mm. A little bit tighter. Because this is down at like 24, maybe even 28 newton meters. Oh, tighter than that. There we go. Now, once again, with this guy here, there might be some pressure in there. We don't want to completely take them off. Using just a tool, grab a rag, take them off by hand. Okay. Just in case. Remember, always wear your safety glasses. And we are, yeah, there's no extra pressure in this guy. Actually, there might be. It's getting a little bit stiff here above. Seal head is off. Let's pop out the piston. Whoa! The whole IFP tube came out. Well, that makes my life easier, but ultimately, that is our piston, and this is our seal head. Okay? What we are going to do is clean them of any oil. And we're going to put it on the side for now. Okay. Well, since that thing did half our job for us, take a plastic pick. Chances are yours is going to be sunk inside just like that, right? All the way at the bottom. And what we're going to do is take a plastic pick. There's holes on the side. Grab it into a hole and just lift it up. Okay. And that is our inner tube. And our IFP is still in there. In fact, I shouldn't have done that. Damn, I didn't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to show you 2 ways you could take out the IFP from the inner chamber here. Now we remove the IFP tool. The IFP is still in there, right? So Rockshox says that a good way to take it out is by using zip ties, right? Tire zip ties, to me, work the best because they got big fat heads. You don't need as many, all right? And basically the way this would work is if your IFP is in the middle somewhere, right? You just put a zip tie in, put another zip tie in, put another zip tie in, all right? And then you just pull up and your IFP will come out. So that works just fine, right? No issues with that. But what happens when your IFP is all the way at the bottom? You can't, and that's happened. In fact, I had a reverb access video where I showed you when I opened it up that the IFP was stuck all the way on the bottom. You can't do anything about that, right? With zip ties, you need pressure. So let's go into how you can remove the IFP with pressure. Before we do it, let's remove the oil from here so we don't make a mess. Wait a second. Is that pink? What? That doesn't look like the Serene oil. Huh. You know, this might be the previous Rockshox Reverb oil. I don't think the Serene oil is more brown. It's not pink. Anyway, I'll look into that later. So that's a little surprising. Okay, so let's clean this up, right? So I'm going to put this guy back in here. All right. Let's put him in. So now I'm going to take the IFP. I'm going to put it back into the tube over here. And let's sink it all in, right? And what I'm going to do, make sure this guy touches the bottom. Come on. There we go. I'm even going to sink the IFP all the way to the base. All right. There we go. The IFP is now touching the bottom. So that's the absolute worst case scenario. You cannot take, and this can happen to you depending off your, if you have a leak and oil and air get displaced, your IFP could end up at the bottom of a reverb post, okay? You cannot take it out now, no matter what you do with zip ties. But what you can do is, I'm making a bit of a mess over here. What you can do is take a shock pump. We're going to put our valve back in there. All right. Just like this. I'm going to take our shock pump. We're going to put it in there. Well, I pushed my luck with the camera and it overheated, but we are back. So again, I put the valve back in there. The IFP is all the way at the base. I put the valve back in there. I put the air pump in there, right? Now, if I just well, we didn't want that to happen because it's all the way at the bottom. Ultimately, if I keep on pressing on the pump, nothing's going to happen, right? Because air is going to escape. But if I block the hole, pressure will build. Now, the only thing I would recommend is if you do this, there's the IFP, is cover the towel and then block the hole, right? And your IFP will come up. With the towel, you're just going to have to press harder, but your IFP will come up. And then we grab our plastic pick, go in one of the holes, and boom. So you don't need the tie wraps. If air pressure can do it in the worst case scenario, then air pressure can do it at any point. So why use the tie wraps? Just use air pressure. Remember, while it's inside, attach the pump, put the valve in, attach the pump, hold it down. Highly recommend you hold it down with a paper towel. Just block the hole, and the IFP, after you put some air in there, will pop out and you'll be able to easily take it out. So we have our IFP tube and our IFP out. Let's just put them on the side for now. Next, let's take off our cap. I still have the tape on there. Well, for crying out loud, where are you? Is that it? That's got to be it. There it is. Yep. It's all greasy, hard to grip. Take the tape off just so I don't forget it. We'll put that on the side for now. We want to take out the vent valve again. What do I do with my valve tool? Grab my valve removal tool, the vent valve, the Schrader valve. We're going to take it out and we're going to put it on the side. All right. Oops, thought I had it out. I'm going to put this on the side again next to the cap. All right. Now it's a question of cleanup and putting it all back together. Just a reminder, folks, when it comes to the oils, don't put them down the toilet. Don't put them down the sink. Don't throw them outside. Don't put them in the garbage. Put them in a bottle, clearly marked danger or don't drink, and then give it to a local bike shop, give it to an auto shop, give it to somebody who could dispose of it, right? We do not want this stuff sitting in our water system. The first thing we are going to do is clean the larger tubes, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the main body here, spray it down inside with alcohol real good, okay? Alcohol will come out the other side. Let's just leave it in there. Now, grab a wooden dowel. I sort of do what I do with my forks, right? Grab a wooden dowel. Don't put it all the way up. Leave about a couple of inches. Loosely wrap it. Very loosely wrap it. Okay. Then take a rubber band, make it tight so the towel doesn't separate from the paper. Cut a bit off so we have some mopping action in there, right? And what we are going to do, sink this guy in there. All right. Sink them all the way in the bottom, turn them counterclockwise, and mop up any oil, any alcohol, anything that's in there. All right. Oh yeah, that's clean. So hopefully you can see that well. I can't tell if you can see that well, but inside there is a housing. And this tube goes around that housing and snaps into place, right? We're going to go over that later, but I figure I might have had a good opportunity over here to show you, right? That's the housing down there. Okay. So then what we are going to do is let's just clean the inside here. What we can do is take a little bit of paper towel, grab a pick, and just clean the inside where dirt collects, just to make sure we don't have any dirt. See what I mean? Dirt collects on the base over there, and we don't want it to go back in any single which way or form. Remember, a plastic pick, well, in here it doesn't matter if it's really plastic. If you scratch it, it doesn't matter. It won't affect anything. Cool. That's much cleaner. Okay. That takes care of that one. Now we're going to grab this guy here. Actually, you know what? Let's do the outside of this one. Spray him down outside real well. Okay. Put him on the side. Spray him down inside. Cut a little bit of towel. Put him in a ball. Fill it up inside. Damn, not like that. Hopefully I didn't scratch it. Jeez. Butterfingers. No rush, guys. I'm in a rush because I want to make this video shorter. But don't rush it. Just take your time and don't make mistakes like that. Okay. Put them in. And then grab our dowel. Wooden dowel again. Don't use metal in here. Inspect them. Inspect the outside. Make sure there's no scratch. If there's any scratches that you see on this tube over here, yeah, you're done for. It won't seal. So that's okay. Let's look at our collar inside. Look at the bushing. I know we have a new one. This is good. This is real good. This is in good shape. There's nothing wrong with it. Insignificant wear, if any. Okay, leave that on the side. Now, we have our seal head. We're going to separate it from the shaft body. That's our piston. There is an O-ring over here that we have to change. Okay, so let's clean the piston. All right. Now we are going to grab plastics. Try and squeeze it together in order to pop it out. All right, and then just help it come out, right? So if you notice over here, I open up the kit, and this big O-ring is that one there. Okay. We're going to take them, grab our dynamic grease. Damn. Yeah. Put some dynamic grease on him. On the inside. Rub him all the way around. He goes above the split ring. That's a split ring. Just take this guy, put him all the way around. And we are good. We got our poppet. Now, this seal doesn't change. This seal doesn't change. But up here, we have a little seal that needs to get changed. I don't know why they don't give us the rest, really. So again, try and squeeze them. This guy's a little bit hard, really, because these small ones are always a pain in the butt, in my opinion. Squeeze them till you can get underneath them, and then just help them out. There he goes. Where is that kit? There's a replacement. Come on. Come on. What's going on here? Oh, it's in my hand. All right, again, let's put a little bit of dynamic grease on him. Come on the inside. Put him on just like that. He's done. Let's clean this guy on the inside. Let's clean this one on the inside. Well, these usually stay clean. All right. Let's change out our foam ring since we're here. So basically after this, it's just assembly. Old foam ring, new foam ring. Put these bags on the side. Let's clean the threads on this guy real well. Make sure they're real clean. I already cleaned my pins. And I'm going to replace them. Boy, do I even need to replace them? Oh man, they look like they're in great shape. I don't think I need to replace these. Might. Then we clean this guy here. So what you want to clean in here is the guides, those little lines on the inside, right? Because that's where the pins go up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a paper towel. We're going to try and bunch them up into a whole bunch of like corners, right? We don't want to put them like, make them a round ball. Put them in here. And then just push this guy down. Turn him inside out. And try and make it where there's like lots of edging or corners in the paper. Make them tight in there. All right. Oh, he's pretty clean. Could use one more. Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's good. Now we want to clean the threads underneath. Make sure that these are nice and clean so there's no grit. Okay. This is our old seal head. Put them on the side. Kit, we have a new seal head. Let's put them out here. He goes on this guy here. And then if we want, we could change out the bleed screw and the washer or the seal underneath the bleed screw. I need that again. Okay. That is a T10 Torx. So let's take out this screw. Inside, although this is going to be really small. I might need a different pick for this. You really don't have to do this, guys. I'm going to give it to you, but this could actually sometimes be a bigger pain in the butt than it's worth. Did I get them out? Yeah, I got them out. In all reality. So that's that guy. Got our new bleed screw. That's the old, that's the new. We'll put a little bit of grease on him. Just keep him fresh. All right. Now we're going to take him. We're going to try and sink one side in his seat. And then we sink the other side in his seat. There you go. Done. Yay. Then we'll grab our new bleed screw. They give us extra bleed screws, but they don't give us extra seals. Put this guy in, hand tight. Don't over tighten them. And that is it. Actually, before I forget, we had our new IFP. Put it here, the old one on the side, and we had our new collar. Even though I'm keeping the old one looks like it's gonna come in handy for somebody one day. Now we're ready to assemble, but before we assemble, if any of you folks out there find this video helpful and you like it, please click the like button, man. It would be super appreciated, all right? So, first step is let's get our shaft ready, our piston shaft ready, okay? So what we're gonna need is a little bit of Rockshox dynamic grease. We're gonna take our seal head and we're gonna fill up the inside, put a good amount of dynamic grease on the inside, okay? Just like that. All right, stick it in there, rub it on the sides, and we're good. Now, this is our piston head, right? We're gonna take the shaft, we're gonna sink it in, put it around, it's gonna be a little bit tight. Ow, forgot to mention the threads face the piston, okay? So now what we are gonna do is put some of this stuff here. We'll clean all the stuff on the inside. So this goes down. Then we're going to take our bumper. We're going to put that up there, right? So now what we are going to do, take all this extra grease, Might have overdone a little bit with the grease, but it's all good. Just get in there and let's clean out any additional grease we don't need. All right, put on the side, right? Clean the threads real well. Make sure our threads are nice and clean. Then what we are going to do is we're going to put in a 7.5. All right. And we're going to take the top part. This is the 10mm nut that goes on top of the shaft. Okay. 10mm crow's foot, 4 Newton meters. Make sure we tie it down relatively tight. Let's get in here and there we go, 4.05. We're going to take them out. We're going to put them on the side for now. Next, what we're going to do is take the post and we're going to put the valve back in. All right, all the way down until it's nice and snug. Don't over tighten it, just make it snug, right? Just like finger snug, a nice solid snug. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this a vent valve. We're going to take our shock pump. We're not going to fill it up with air. What we're going to do is put it in all the way down and pull up to make sure that the vent valve is shut. Okay, so we're good. Just pull back, essentially. Put all the way down, pull back, just to make sure that the vent valve is shut. Okay, so then first what we're going to do is we're going to take our collar. Now for the collar, it doesn't mix with oil. So I'm just going to take SRAM butter, right? And the way I do it, see this whole wiper over here? I like filling the whole concave part of the wiper and then cover the bushings. Try and make the wiper, make it where the wiper is like flush with grease, okay? And then put it on the bushings on the inside, just like that. All right, grab this guy here, and we're gonna slip him in, just like that. And let's clean off any excess we got down here so we don't make too much of a mess. Let's bring them all the way to the bottom. Next, we're gonna insert the IFP. First, we need to mount this post. Now, you are going to mount it at the base over here on flat jaws, right? I'm going to mount it in a 25mm hole again, only so we could have a better view for the camera, all right? Don't do this. Do it on a flat mount, plain and simple, okay? Like I said, I'm only doing this so we have a better view with the camera. So, when it comes to installing the IFP, there's multiple ways you could do it. For starters, on the inside, like I mentioned before, there's a housing, right? A metal housing, and the IFP basically sits around that housing. So you got to find it, right? To give you an idea what it's going to be like before we actually do this. Well, technically, you can't do it like this, right? Just move it around until you find that housing, which is right in the middle. And then when you hear the click, you're done. It's inside, right? Now, technically, we could grease this and put it in. Personally, I like doing it a different way. So let's take this guy out. All right, again, always with a plastic pick. Do not want to scratch any of these. So first, what we're going to do, also to mention, this shaft has holes, right? The holes are on the top side, which is technically the bottom, but the holes face the top over here. The area, the side with no holes, goes all the way into the base, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our IFP, we're going to grab dynamic grease, and we're going to put it on the inside. Okay. And what we're going to do is not only put on the inside, we're going to put a good amount. We're going to get liberal with this dynamic grease. Then we're going to grab, if you have one, a flat spatula or a flat pick or a spudger, technically. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it where the grease is flush with the walls. It's sunk in there, right? The middle of the IFP. So we're going to fill it in where it's all nice and even all the way around. That's where one of these flat things makes it a lot easier, right? And then what we're going to do, yep, there we go. So we're good over there, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take it. We're not going to insert at the top. We're going to insert at the base first. Okay. And then bring it all the way to the top. Why? It makes it easier to clean all that excess grease. Because if we did it the other way around, grease would have been popping out of the holes. It would have been a lot deeper. Not that it's much harder, but this is just a little bit easier to deal with. Now, again, this is going to be the inside. This is going to be facing towards the outside being here, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the remainder and a lot more. Let's see if you guys see it better. Dynamic grease. And what we're going to do is try and fill this area between the shaft and the IFP, right? And we want to remove all air bubbles possible. We don't want to trap any air in there and get any air trapped, right? So we're going to press it in, go around just like the way I did, and then press it in and sort of make like an angle of grease, right? Or like a sort of like a wall, really. Almost like mortar, right? Okay. So that's good right there. All right, now what we're going to do, the way we did it to the inside, we are going to do the same thing to the outside. All right. Don't worry about putting too much grease. You want to fill any space where air could collect. Like I said, this is, it sort of dips in, right? So we want to fill that because we don't want grease to fill up in, or we don't want air to get trapped in there when we put it in, right? So just keep on filling it up. All right. There we go. Just like that. Might seem like a lot, but one thing that's good with dynamic grease, it dissolves in oil real well. Okay. Now, as far as the top side, it's not as important. I just try and fill up between, again, the shaft and the actual IFP over here, right? So, but you don't have to go too crazy on this side. There we go. Just like that. All right, let's just play it safe for a little bit more. I won't need any more of that. Okay, I went a little bit nuts over here, but what are you going to do? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sink it in. Okay, we're going to take it, we're going to sink it in. We're going to sink in the IFP with it. Okay, just like that. All right. And again, eye it where, look down into the tube, you'll see the metal base that it needs to go into. Try and center the shaft to touch the top of the base. All right, just like that, nearly there. There we go. And the shaft is sunk in, and the IFP is sunk in as well. To set the IFP, we need the IFP depth tool, right? And if we look at this chart over there, you will see that for all C1 reverbs, we go to 55 millimeters depth, okay? Now, one thing I recommend is don't try to just push it in straight to 55. You're going to overshoot it, right? It gets sticky, it sticks, and basically you can end up using some extra force, and it's going to be hard to control. I try and slowly wiggle it, and then once I get to 50, then I'm really careful. I don't try and push it down. Don't try and push it straight down. You'll overshoot it. Try and just slowly wiggle it side to side until we get there, all right? So again, just slowly wiggle it. Like I said, the beginning is going to be a little bit hard. There we go. Now it's going to sink in. It's going to get a little bit easier. But wiggle it. Don't try and push it straight down, especially once you get to the 50 mark. This won't go smoothly in there. It sort of jitters, right? So just slowly. So now I'm at the 50. I don't know if you can see that. So now I'm really going to just jiggle it slowly but surely. Take my time. And you want to get that line even with the top line here looking at from the side, right? So again, slowly, slowly, I'm nearly there, I'm nearly there, nearly there, and I am there. Perfect. Then I pull it out. And our IFP is set. Next, we're going to take our oil and we're going to fill the inside tube. Oh, we're going to fill the whole thing. Slowly fill it up. Okay, let's not fill it to the top yet. So what we're going to do, again, yours is going to be clamped at the base, right? Tap it with something rubbery, not plastic, not metal. See if we can get out any bubbles. Just tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Give it some good taps. Nada. We're looking good. Next, we want to put the poppet into the shaft, right? Now, two things. One, we need to put a little bit of oil on the poppet, right? Two, when we put it in, we need to leave 4 millimeters from the base of the O-ring to the top of this cap, okay? So not from this base, from this plastic base, but where the O-ring sits. So let's say on top of this, so like the base of the actual O-ring itself, okay? So to help you out, what you can do is find something that's 3 millimeters in size, because this is a millimeter from the base of the O-ring to the bottom of this plastic piece, right? Or this plastic disc, whatever you want to call it, right? So then we would need another 3 millimeters, and that will help guide us later, okay? But before we do that, let's just take both sides of this guy here, this poppet, dip them in the oil, get rid of all the excess oil, and then we're going to put them in. Okay, just like that. We're going to sink them in, but we don't want to sink them all the way down. Okay, again, so I found this little plastic bit over here that's about 3 millimeters. Okay, and basically I'll just squish it down, and I could leave it there and leave it as a guide for me in a bit. Okay, so I don't overshoot it. The whole goal is when we sink and seal the shaft and the seal head, the pressure is going to want to make this guy lift, and as we're screwing him down, it's going to lift up, and we need to make sure that he always stays around, do our best to make sure he stays around that 4 millimeters in total height. Okay, so now that I did that, that part's done. What we're going to do is we're going to put grease on this O-ring over here, just like that, a good amount. Okay. Might put a little bit too much, but it's okay. Not the end of the world. All right. So now we want to make sure that our seal head is all the way at the base. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly roll them in, and we're going to sink them in, slowly roll them in, let the air come out, and then we're going to screw him down. But again, we got to pay attention to the top. Let me see if I get a different camera angle. Hopefully this will work better. Yeah. So again, we're going to roll them in, and we're going to pay attention to the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this guy as a guide when I need to push him down, because he will come up. Okay. So make sure the seal head's all the way down. We're going to take this guy, we're going to sink him in. Also, one more thing that you will want to do, considering you're going to be tied down, or you're going to be clamped to the base, take a paper towel and wrap them around. I really can't do it over here because I just don't have the room the way I'm hooked up. I'm supposed to be at the base, right, on a flat soft jaw. So make sure you wrap it around the paper towel. What I can do, collect any oil, is put that little oil thing underneath, right? And what I will do is I'm just going to cover I'll do it under here to help save it from going all the way down. You don't need to do this. Well, technically you do, but you're not going to be in the same situation I am. Hopefully you're not. All right. Okay, so now we got it greased up. Everything's ready. We're close to 4 millimeters over here, right? what we're going to do is we're going to take them, we're going to slowly put them in, let them fill up. Okay. Slowly put them in. Do not sink it from the shaft, right? You always want to make sure the seal head's at the base. And what we're going to do is we're going to push the seal head in. See what I mean by the holes are going to want to come out. Okay. Then we're going to screw them in. And as we screw them in, this poppet's going to want to lift. Okay. Further down he goes. He's going to want to go up, and he's already gone up. Ah, shit, that's not good. See what I mean? You do not want to sink them. So let me take them out. It's a mistake. You do not want to sink this shaft, right? So you got to be careful, basically. So let's fill them up again. All right. Let's clean up some of that excess oil so it don't make too much of a mess. And bubbles from the tap. Now we're going to try that again. All right. So we're all the way up. Actually, let's make sure that, see, there we go. Right there. So now we're going to sink them in, roll them in, and guide them just from this shaft. I mean the seal head, don't touch the shaft. Keep an eye on the poppet. Screw them down. Check the poppet. Oh, he hasn't lifted. We're good so far. He will lift. In fact, just now he lifted. Okay, so pull the shaft up, but press the poppet down. Pull the shaft up and press the poppet down, right? So as we keep unscrewing this in, pull the shaft up, press the poppet down, screw them in, like that. In fact, now we're going to need help. Okay, I'm going to need a wrench. 23 millimeter. Make sure you grab them by the teeth. So again, keep the shaft up, pull the shaft up, press the poppet down, right? So again, just like this, and just take your time and you'll get it, and you'll get it right. Just make sure you're always pushing the shaft up and the poppet down. Okay. Okay, he's definitely lifted up again. Shaft up, pop it down. Okay, I'm pretty much at the base. Shaft up, pop it down. Now we're going to grab our crow's foot, 23 millimeter, 28 Newton meters. Make sure he's tight. And boom, 28.3. Let's check this guy. Oh yeah, we are good. We are real good. Let's remove the hose from the soft jaw. Okay. Let's clean it. Like I said, you won't have to do what I'm doing right now as far as the way I set it up, because you're going to clamp it down from here, which is going to make it a lot easier. But if I was to do it that way, it would be so high. from the camera. Let's move this out of the way. I don't need them for now. Let's put our 7.5 millimeter in there again. Okay. So we have our 7.5. Next, let me just wash this down from grease. All right, don't press them down yet. Just leave them up. Press them up, or just clean them off with grease. I'm going to put them in that 7.5 millimeter again. Okay, come on. Now, we're going to press down on that poppet until the top is flush flat with the base, okay? Until basically the O-ring sinks in, right? We don't want to sink it past the O-ring. Just be careful over here. Just take it and sink it in. He'll snap in there just like that till he's basically flat in there. Then we're going to take our cap. Screw him down, release our poppet cover. All right, screw him down my hand. $10 millimeter at the base, 15 millimeter at top, right? So he's all good. Then we torque him down to 6.5 Newton meters. Oh. Well, 6.7, a little hot. To test the shock, we are going to need a shock pump, and then any kind of Allen that's about 2 millimeters that we could sink into the base hole in here. I'll show you that when we get there, all right? So first we're going to fill them up with air. All right, 300 PSI for the C1. All right. So he doesn't make too much noise. Where am I at? Oh, I got a long way to go. Fill them up to 300. $296. $298. Well, I think I hit 300 because 296 again. 98. 299. Good enough. Let's unscrew them. And there we go. All right. So now we fill them up with air, right? So at the cap over here, there's a hole. That's the actuator, right? That poppet is the actuator. And basically, we're just going to press down, right? Just like that. And then we should be up there. There you go. Let go. Okay. And if I hold on to the cap, there we go. She is working, and she is working great. Press down. Make sure there's no sag. None. Doesn't move a millimeter. Don't push too hard. You don't want to bend this, right? But ultimately, you would feel it right now. So again, let's try and push towards the middle. Let go. Boom. We are working perfectly. Now let's finish her up. First, what we are going to do is grease the guides on the inside over here where the pins go, right? And I'm going to use SRAM butter. Like I said, you could use Rockshox dynamic grease. I'm going to put a good amount over here. And the reason I'm going to put a good amount, especially on the back one, is because the pins are going to fill up those guides with grease. So I want to make sure that. So I'm going to put on the back one because we know there's going to be a pin in the back. And then at like 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock, basically, those are going to be the main pins. All right. There we go. So that's good enough there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a good amount of grease on the bushing. All right. And we're going to put some grease on the pinholes. And then I'm going to put a little bit of grease above here for the cap one more time. All right, just like that. Cool. Now what we are going to do is insert it. So, angled. The top part is the rear of the post, right? The letters are the rear of the post. So the first thing we're going to do, it doesn't matter as much now. First, we're going to try and get around this bushing, which could be a little bit stiff sometimes. We might have to go in there and squeeze the bushing. Okay, and we are probably going to have to go in there and squeeze the bushing in order to get him in. There we go. Now, we need room to slide in our pins. These are my 3 pins right here. Again, they are 3. I put the stripes towards the top. I don't know if it makes a difference, to be honest, but I push him a little bit down. There we go. He is in there. Number 2 and number 3. Okay. Now is when we want to make sure we align this back pin with the letters. So this is going to be in the back. We want to hold all 3 pins. We might have to wiggle it in, and we wiggle it past the pins. And we are good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy, screw him all the way down. Okay. Until we can't do it by hand anymore. Slippery. Okay, that's the most I could do it by hand. And now we're going to put them in the vise. So again, I'm going to put them in a vise in a 31.6 millimeter hole, which is the size of the Zoubtube. 34 millimeter at 28 Newton meters. Oops, let's put tape. Got my tape to protect the finish, so don't scuff up too bad. Now, 90-degree angle, 28 Newton meters. Let's grab them, let's fit them in. Be a little bit tight with the tape on there, and 28 on the nose. Let's remove our tape. To finish the bottom, we're going to grab our cap. We're going to screw it onto our poppet cover. Go all the way to the base. Then 15 millimeter crow's foot, 5 Newton meters. Grab our 24 millimeter wrench. All right. And, oops, where is it? There it is. 5 Newton meters. Now we bring down our cap, screw it down to the body, always by hand first. Okay. Let's grab our 24. Bring it all the way down. Come on. Go off for crying out loud. I hate these thin edge walls. Okay. 24 millimeter crow's foot, 90-degree angles, 5 Newton meters again. 5.45, I can live with that. Take alcohol. Spray it down. Wipe off any excess grease on the outside. And ta-da! And there you have it, folks. You just finished fully servicing a Rockshox Reverb C1 chassis dropper. Not a hard job, guys. You can absolutely do this, all right? Don't feel intimidated by it. If you run into the problem where you have sag that can't get solved via the vent valve, then you could open it up without needing to change any seals, as long as your seals are in good condition, and solve that problem on your own. I know you could do this, okay? So the last step over here, since we filled it up with air already, we want to make sure that we got our air cap in or installed. All right, don't crank it down too hard, just make sure it's covered. And then from there, you're just going to go ahead and put the seat clamp when you put it back on the bike with your seat. All right, for the first few rides, 3, 5, 6, maybe 10 rides, just keep track of the grease that comes out of the wiper so it doesn't attract too much dirt and make the wiper's job harder than it needs to be, right? For the first few rides, excess grease will come out. And that's pretty much it, folks. Again, I'm going to make a separate video on a 200-hour service because it's going to be much shorter than this one. I'll make a video as well as far as how to do the hydraulic bleed, right? You cannot solve the bleed problem, a sag problem, by bleeding the cable, right? These are two independent systems. I'll get into that in that video. So, with all that being said, if you like the video, please click the like button, click the subscribe button to see more videos, click the bell button, bing, 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 in order to get notified when new videos get released and more videos are coming, all right? Until then, I hope all is well with all of you, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.